It's 5 o'clock on a Wednesday, and it's time for
a Craig and Ryland Magic Review Show.
He's Ryland.
He's Craig.
You're getting good at this. And this is another review show. Welcome back to Magic TV. We've got some good stuff this week, haven't we? If you've never been and watched an episode of Magic TV, Craig and Ryland Review Show before, me and Ryland are going to review 4 tricks and tell you exactly what we think. And we are going to start with a new trick by one of the biggest names in Magic, at least in the UK scene, and that is Joel Dickinson. Let's have a look at the first trick right now. So first up, we have Warpzag by Joel Dickinson. Now, you're a big fan of Joel. I'm a big fan of Joel. He brings out some incredible magic, some incredible mentalism. Your favourite propless mentalism trick is Joel Dickinson, where you have that invisible die and you roll it. And
that's clever.
Yeah. He's such a great guy, such a talented person. Well, he's back with a combination of effects. He's taken he's taken card warp, and he's taken like a cube zag type effect, and he's combined it into one routine, and this is very, very clever. Now, before we talk about this any further, you're going to see a performance of me doing this to camera. I went and filmed a performance of this in the office the other day because Ryland was busy, so you're going to see a performance to camera of Warpzag, and then we're going to come back and we talk about what we think. So I've got a couple of cards here. I've got a 7 and a queen. Can you see them?
Yeah.
And I'm going to use this to perform an illusion. Of course, you know, Michael, that I do an illusion show as well as close-up, where I put girls in boxes and I make people appear and disappear and change places and that sort of thing. So we're going to try and demonstrate 2 of my favourite illusions using playing cards. And the queen is going to represent the box. So this here is going to represent the box that the assistant would go in. And this is going to represent the assistant. The 7 of spades is represent the assistant. I've folded this in into quarters, so it's all folded up. But this is going to represent the assistant. Now, I want you to watch very carefully. One of my first illusions that I ever bought is an illusion called Inside Out. And Inside Out is an amazing illusion. Now, the idea is that you put the girl, or the assistant, because sometimes it's not a girl, it can be a Ryland. You put the girl into the box, but it's really important that she's facing out. I should point that out, sorry. It's really important that she's facing out. So the assistant goes in the box so that she's facing the audience. So you can see the face of that card, can't you, Michael?
Yeah.
And her head is on display, so you can see the head. And then what happens is the illusionist would do an illusionist move. That's my illusionist move, I don't like that. And then what happens is as the person goes through the box, they literally turn inside out as they go through, because now half face up and half face down. You go back up like this and you snap, and now she's facing the right way again. I mean, this is crazy. But then what you do, because any good illusion, you do it again. So then they do it again. So you take the box, you put the girl inside the box, and this time what you do is you snap your fingers again, and when you snap your fingers, look, now she turns the wrong way around. And she carries on doing it. Look, she turns face up, she turns face down. Sometimes you even see a half face up and half face down, and then when you snap your fingers, boom, she just goes back and starts looking like she was meant to right at the very beginning. Now, that's called Inside Out. That's one of the very first illusions I bought. Now, the next illusion that I bought, and my favourite illusion, is called the cube zag. Have you ever heard of that before?
No.
So the idea of the cube zag is you have another box, that will be the queen, and as well as the box, you have the assistant, but this time she goes in facing away from the audience, right? So she goes in facing away from the audience, but you leave her head and her middle sticking out, so you can see her legs and you can see her head, can't you? Can you see that? Is that seeable? I'm going to position it so you can see it. Can you see everything?
Yeah.
You should be able to. It's really important with this one that I don't cheat. Now, what I'm going to do is get this in just the right angle, and I'm going to do another illusion move and snap my fingers. And when I do, I can actually move her head right down there. Now, I don't know how well that looks, but it should look like I've actually moved her head down there, and the legs are up there. Now, if you want to, you can move the legs up here as well to join the head. Or you can actually move the head back up there, which kind of looks crazy, and you can actually move the middle. Basically, what you've done is you've sawn them in half. But then when you put it back together like this and you snap your fingers, what happens is the girl actually ends up going back together, which is just crazy. Now, if you want to, you can keep doing it. So you can move the head, you can move the legs, you can keep doing this as much as you want to. But the finale is amazing. You take the legs out. You then take the head out, and what you do is you take the head and you take the leg and you put them together like that, and you fuse the girl back into two. That's kind of like a sawing in half, Waitland style, and the assistant is as good as new. The box is completely examinable and checkable, and that is why I love being an illusionist. Now, obviously, there's a few big differences between the original sort of card warp and this. The downside, the thing you need to talk about immediately, is the original card warp didn't use gimmicks. It kind of used one gimmick that was prepared on the fly, but not really. Whilst this is a gimmicked card. You have two cards, one's gimmicked, one's not. The gimmick card can sit in a deck, and you can do it the way I did it in that video, where I just have the two cards out, or you can have the two cards forced. It's completely up to you. But one of those cards is gimmicked, one of the cards is not gimmicked. Which is a bit of a negative compared to a normal card warp, but because you're using a gimmick, the visuals are just insane. You know what I mean? Because normally you have to fold the card around the card that goes inside, and so you can't really see what's going on. With this, it's happening behind the card. The queen that it's happening behind is never folded in half at any point. So you can, at every single point, you can apparently see what's going on. What's nice about this is, even though it's a gimmick card, they can kind of examine it. Now, if they examined it with a fine-tooth comb, they'd see that it was a little bit different compared to other cards. But you can literally just throw it on the table and have them look at it, and you can show it on all sides, and they won't see anything, which is really smart, I think. Now, there's a learning curve to this. It's not difficult, but it is knacky. The first time I watched the tutorial, which is expertly done, as you would imagine, by Joelle, the tutorial is expertly done. But when I watched the tutorial, I was like, okay, this is actually a bit tricky. This is actually a bit knacky, because you're having to do a few things that I've never done before with cards. And it took me a little bit of a while to get to the point where you saw that performance earlier. But it is something that you can do with enough practice. It's something that you do need a bit of practice with. What's nice about it is, once you learn how the routine works, it then becomes very practical. Because you can have the two cards on display. You can show them very, very cleanly. You can do the first phase, you can do the second phase, and at the end everything's left on the table, and they can kind of see that everything's ungimmicked and so on and so forth. The question that people that are watching this need to ask themselves, if you already do card warp, is this better than card warp? And really, it's down to the individual. As I say, it does use a gimmicked card, but the use of that gimmick does give you more visuals than you would have with a normal card warp. And you can't normally do a Warpzag style routine with a card warp. Well, the whole second phase, where you're moving the card all over the place and then it restores, that's only possible because of the gimmick. And if you weren't using a gimmick, you wouldn't be able to do that. So there are a lot of visuals, there are a lot of extra phases. And I read somewhere on the cafe, I think it was, somebody was saying, oh, what's the point in using a gimmick? Because card warp doesn't need a gimmick, you don't need to use a gimmick. And that's kind of like saying, why use a flipper coin, or why use a shell with coin magic? Because you can do a coins across with 4 coins. Why would you need to add a flipper coin? Well, you add a flipper coin because it makes the routine more visual. It makes the routine more impressive than if you're just using 4 regular coins. And it's kind of the same with this. Why would you need to use a gimmick? Use a gimmick card because it makes the original card warp look cleaner. It gives it visuals and it gives it displays that you wouldn't normally be able to do with a normal card warp. And you haven't said much at all during this, probably because it's a card trick and you don't particularly like card tricks. But what's your opinion?
I think it's pretty cool. I don't know if I'd do it, because it's just like basically just taking 2 cards out. Your coastal case is insane. Look at this. But it is really cool if you like add it into a different routine, I'd say. But yeah, it is really cool.
I would do this. I've done card warp for years. I love card warp. I collect methods for card warp, and this is one of my favourites. I'd definitely do this. I'm going to give this 90%. What about you?
I'm going to give it 79%, just because I don't think I'll do it. It's very good.
He's in a bad mood today.
Hello.
He's been in a bad mood. No, he is. He's in a bad mood. It's stroppy. He's stroppy. He didn't play the Switch enough today. He's stuck on Zelda or something. I don't know. He's just in a stroppy mood.
I'm not stuck on Zelda. I haven't played on VR Zelda in ages.
You played on Zelda today.
Yeah, ages.
That's
ages.
ages. Shut up.
Ages.
79% for Ryland, 90% from me. I recommend it. Let's move on with the next product. Okay, I'll let you take the lead on this, Stroppy Knickers. This one is 4 Flush by Nick Trost. Now, this is an old packet trick that was around years and years and years ago, and Murphy's have re-released it, and they've put a tutorial together for it. The original 4 Flush just used a sheet of paper as the instructions, but now Murphy's have taken Javier Fuenmayer, who is one of the best teachers of magic in the world as far as I'm concerned, and they've got Javier to put together a tutorial explaining how 4 Flush works. And in the package you get the tutorial from Javier, and you get all the gimmick cards that enable you to do this routine. I'm going to get Ryland to speak all about this because he's the one that watched the tutorial, he's the one that learnt the trick, he's the one who's going to do the performance that you're about to see right now. So let's have a look at a performance of Ryland doing 4 Flush, and then we'll hear from Ryland himself.
Yeah.
Right, okay, so 4 Flush, tell me what you think.
4 Flush is very cool.
Very cool. Okay,
Very.
Why is it so cool?
It's cool because, it's like, how can you show all of them empty, like completely blank, all of them completely and totally blank, and then now they've all, you can show them completely and totally full, and you can clearly tell you haven't switched any of the cards out.
Okay. Can I say I disagree? And I'll tell you why I disagree. And we can have a little bit of an argument about it if you want. Okay. This is why I disagree. 4 Flush came out years and years and years ago, and at the time, it was probably cutting edge when it comes to packet tricks. These days, I think techniques and I think packet tricks have moved on. I think things have moved on in the modern era. Let me explain why. So first of all, if you actually think about 4 Flush as a commercial trick, think about you performing this to a group of people in a close-up situation. You show your cards, you put your 4 to one side. That's fine. Now you're showing the jokers. You're showing the blank cards, but you're using that count. But it's a modified version of the count. You're not really showing the whole face of the cards the whole time. But it doesn't matter. And you're also not showing every single card. Now that count works. You use that count in wild cubes.
You can, because there's a way you can do it. If you just hold the corners, you can, because you've got to hold it somewhere. And if you just hold it in the corners, you can literally just go like that.
Yeah,
and
okay, I get it. The point I'm trying to make, though, is I think that when you're doing a trick like this, and it's like got 6 blank cards, I think you have to be very, very fair about the blank cards that you're using at the beginning. I think you need to have no ambiguity. That count works at the end of wild cubes because it's a convincer at the end. I think at the beginning, there's better ways to actually show the cards are blank. But then you've got the printing phase, and the printing's really good. At the end, you've got all 4 of spades, but those cards can't be examined at all. Like if somebody, you can't even have them come close to examining them. You're telling me
you can't just completely show them.
If you show somebody a trick where there's all these blank cards, and then they're just printed to 4s, do you think they want to go and have a look at those?
No.
You don't think that if you show somebody blank cards and then they print into 4s, they're not going to want to see them? Of course they're going to want to see them. They've just seen cards print right in front of their eyes. Now, here's a couple of ways that I would suggest that is better of doing it. Imagine if you had a Himba wallet, for example. And in the Himba wallet, you open it up and in one side, you've got...
No, but that's switching the cards out.
It's a valid technique. Let me explain. In one side, you've got 6 real blank cards and a 4 of spades. You bring out the pack, you put the 4 of spades to one side, but you don't show it. And then you show the blank cards and you say, have a look at them. These cards are blank, and they examine them. You let them put them back in the wallet, and you put the wallet over there. And you say, this card here, name a card. And they go 7 of diamonds. And you go, no, it's the 4 of spades, but that's close. And you say, but I'm going to show you something amazing with the 4 of spades and with these blank cards. Now you open to the other side. And the other side is all the 4 of spades, but 1 blank card. Now you can do a frustration count, and you can show all the cards are blank again. But the frustration count works because you've shown the cards are blank and they've had them examined, so it looks really good, because they're not really watching, because they've examined the cards. And then you can do the cleanest routine where you're printing them, because you've got nothing but 4s. And then the last one, you do whatever, you go, whatever. I haven't actually worked it all out, but you end up with all of these 4s that can be examined. Don't you think that would be better than this, where the cards can't be?
Yeah, but the good thing about this is it's not being switched out.
Okay, so how about this? How about you have all 4s and 1 blank card, and the blank card is second from the top. So you've got 7 cards, the blank card is second from the top, right? So you do a diminishing list sequence. You show, look, I've got all these blank cards. Blank card, deal, blank card, deal. So they're seeing nothing but blank cards as you deal them on the table. And they're seeing apparently all blank cards here, and then you're showing a 4 and you put the 4 over there. You then use the top blank card to scoop up the others, and you do another frustration count. And you go, actually, we're not going to use all these blank cards, I'll get rid of 1. And you get rid of the 1 real blank card. And then you take the 4 and you just wave it over the others, and now they've all turned into 4s. No switch, everything's examinable.
That's cool.
Oh, wait.
That's fine.
Oh, wait. I just think, here's the thing, I just think
I get what you mean.
That as clever as this trick is, and hey, I love Murphy's, I work for Murphy's. I'm probably going to get an angry phone call from Murphy's by saying, don't buy this, I'm telling to people there's better ways of doing their trick that they've released. But honestly, I just think the packet tricks have improved beyond where 4 flush was. And 4 flush was an important part of packet trick mythology. But I just think that things have moved on, and I think there's ways of doing this that are better than how this trick is actually done. I just think that it's the display that you've got at the beginning is not that convincing, which wouldn't be a problem if everything's examinable at the end, but you've got not a very convincing display at the beginning. You've then got that sequence in the middle, which is quite nice. I like the whole idea of showing the blank cards, turning them over. I like all that, don't get me wrong. But then at the end, nothing's examinable, and I think that people would want to examine it. I don't, and I think that if people wanted to examine it, the only option at that point is to go, no, you can't. I'm going to do a different trick. Nah. It's the only way that you can handle it. I'm going to give it 70%. I think it's decent. It's not bad. It's not a terrible trick. I just think that there's a million other options to turn blank cards into printed cards.
Get what you mean, yeah.
You do it. Presto Printo by Daryl, which is another Murphy's release trick. That one where you've got nothing but blank cards and you put them down on the table and you go, look, a 10. If I do this and shake it, first of all, it becomes all blurry. And look, this one, now all the 10 pieces go down to the bottom. You've performed that yourself many times. That's a better trick than this because everything's examinable at the end. I just think that this is a bit pooey.
Yeah, get what you mean.
But man, don't let me make your mind up. I know you like it.
I get what you mean. I would rather do that. No.
I don't think you'd do this.
No.
I think there's 1,000 ways
I think
of
it's
making.
good. I think it's. That's what I was saying. I was gonna say I think it's good, but I wouldn't do it.
Yeah. So I'm giving it 70%. What are you giving it?
I'm gonna give it 70% as well.
70% as well. Okay, 70% for me, 70% for Ryland. It's not a terrible packet trick by any stretch of the imagination. It's just I think there's better ways to accomplish the same thing. On the subject of Murphy's magic, the third trick that we've got is another release by Murphy's. They're everywhere at the moment. And the next trick that we've got coming out through Murphy's Direct is the Professor's Nightmare set, which is a really clever idea. What they've done is they've packaged together a fibre optic set. I call it fibre optics. It's not fibre optics. Sorry, it's Professor's Nightmare. They've packaged together a Professor's Nightmare set along with the world's greatest Professor's Nightmare routines by L&L Publishing, because Murphy's own the rights to all the L&L Publishing products. So they've got the rights to the Professor's Nightmare World's Greatest Magic series. So what they've done is they've taken that original download, they've taken that original DVD, put it up as a download, and then included a set of Professor's Nightmare ropes. And the ropes are beautiful, aren't they? The ropes are really well made. I use the Prop Dog ropes. I think these are as good as the Prop Dog ropes. You had a chance to play with them, didn't you? You were, well, here's a funny story. He was at the Young Magician of the Year. Ryland's been on a bit of a diet recently, and he's lost some weight. And when he went to do his Harry Potter act, his trousers kept falling down, which is not something that you want to have happen in the competition. We didn't have time to get a belt. It was Sunday. He didn't have time to get a belt. So he used his Professor's Nightmare long rope to hold his trousers up. He used them as a belt, didn't you?
Maybe.
On stage to keep his trousers up.
Maybe.
But as well as using them
It was an organic way to use a Professor's Nightmare long piece of rope.
Yes, it was an organic way. But you have played around with the Professor's Nightmare ropes as well, and you gave them.
I would add this start to my fibre optic. I would add the start to the Professor's Nightmare set to my.
Because you do fibre optics, don't you?
I do fibre optics, but I don't like the beginning. It's
that bit where you pull down like that. And
it doesn't look good.
Right,
Really.
okay.
You can kind of tell that, like, if one's going up and the other's going, if one's going down and the other's going up, it kind of means like they're the same piece of rope. But with this, it's like,
which is the traditional way that originally it was designed to do. Yeah. Let's have a look at a performance of you doing that. You did it for music, didn't you, for Instagram? So let's have a look at that. This is Ryland performing the first handling on the Professor's Nightmare download. Let's have a look at that, and then we'll bring it back into the studio.
yeah.
Yeah, I very much like that moment
I love
where
that.
it looks really good. So there's 6 people on the tutorial presenting their version of fibre optics. You've got Michael Finney, who... Why do I keep saying fibre optics? Sorry, Professor's Nightmare. So you've got Michael Finney, who does a really nice, as you would expect, funny version. And that's where you learned that move from, didn't you? You watched that, and that's where you learned the move from. Bob Reed does a version. El Schneider does a version, which is very, very good. My favourite version is Mark D'Souza. So Mark D'Souza has this really nice way of doing it. If you remember, he has one long piece of rope, and then he cuts the rope into 3 pieces, and they're all equal lengths. He cuts the rope into 3 equal lengths, but he's actually cut them into a fibre optic set, but it looks like they're equal lengths. So you can just take a rope, cut it into 3 equal lengths, and then he can do a reverse Professor's Nightmare where they all become different lengths. Then he can put like the medium one away. He can take the short one and the long one and stretch them out to the same size, then fuse them together. And he goes into several rope moves, the sort of thing that you do in your fibre optics routine. And he goes through a whole bunch of stuff like pulling the ends off, putting the ends back on, having the ends in the middle change places in the pocket. He goes through all of that. And then at the end, he stretches them out so they're all the same size again. But he's got this beautiful moment at the end where he ties all 3 ropes together. So he's got 3 pieces of rope the same size. He ties them all together. He blows, and one of the ends falls off. One of the knots falls off. And he takes the other knot and he pulls it off, and he's left with one long piece of rope at the end. And it starts and ends with a long piece of rope. And
nice.
I want to learn that. I thought that was brilliant. I thought that is as good as fibre optics. Now, it's not as practical as fibre optics, because fibre optics, you just take the ropes, you do the trick, you put it away in your pocket, and you're ready to do it again. With this, you're going to use a new piece of rope every time. So it's more of a stage piece. It's more of a stage piece. It's more of a sort of parlour piece. You're going to get rid of rope every single time. But it was beautiful, man. I really like that. You did as well, didn't you?
Yeah, that was very cool.
Dan Fleshman, who is obviously an expert at restaurant magic, he had a really nice version that was designed for restaurants. Dan Tong had a really nice version as well. Dan Tong's egg bag is obviously the best egg bag routine for restaurant workers ever. He's got a really nice version of Professor's Nightmare, where he starts with one rope, and it's just amazing. So the whole set is really well taught. The footage is great. You've got some of the leading experts in the world teaching you their Professor's Nightmare routines. The rope is really well done as well. You use fibre optics, which fibre optics, by the way, is Richard Sanders' version of Professor's Nightmare, and it's got like a ton of crazy moves in it. I do fibre optics. You do fibre optics. You were doing a close-up job the other day, and literally all you took were 2 Rubik's Cubes, a pack of Mind Blocks cards, chroma, and fibre optics, and a ring to do your ring and rope routine. I think that was it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
There was literally 2-hour close-up gig, and that's all you took. Mind blocks, fibre optics, a ring, so you could do ring on rope if you wanted to, chroma, and yeah, that's it.
My cube routine.
Your cube routine, and your cube stuff, yeah, obviously.
Yeah, my cube last stage, so that's why I took the cubes.
Yeah. So he does fibre optics, but you also do it on stage. I do fibre optics, I do it on stage as well.
And somehow, even though it's like 2 hours, I do like a different act for each one.
I know you did, yeah, I know you did.
So,
So you know, rope magic is amazing. Nemid hates rope magic. Did you know that? Nemid hates it with a passion. Nemid hates rope magic more than anything in the world.
Why?
And Nemid hates a lot of things, but he hates...
a lot of things.
And Nemid hates a lot of things. Nemid just hates people, generally. He likes you, likes me. Well, I don't know if he likes me, but he definitely likes you. But he doesn't like you when he has to set up, like, thread. But he likes you generally. But he hates rope magic. And I don't understand anybody who hates rope magic. It makes me not want to trust them. Because rope magic is exceptional. I love rope magic. And if you're wanting to learn how to do Professor's Nightmare, I think this is one of the best ways to do it. You're going to get a whole bunch of different approaches, and you're going to get a really nice set of ropes as well. It's why I'm going to give this 100%. I actually learned...
I'm going to give this 100% plus tuning.
100% plus Tulin. I actually really want to put the Mark D'Souza routine into my act.
What are you going to say I actually learned?
I want to learn the Professor. I want to learn the Mark D'Souza routine. You learned a different way of doing the opening fibre optics thing, which you prefer. We've both learned something from this, even though we've done this routine for years.
Yeah.
So there you go. 100% for me, 100% plus Tulin for Ryland. We've got one last review, and we're going to look at that right now. So the final review, Ryland, is your friend Henry Harrius. You and Henry are kind of like that. And you and Henry, Henry has created the ultimate vanishing bottle that's not a beer bottle. So last year or the year before, Henry brought out Refilled, which was a really well-made vanishing bottle made out of a beer bottle, and he put a routine together with it where you could just use it as a vanishing bottle if you wanted to, but you had this whole routine where you come out on stage, you have this bottle, it's and you put it in the bag, and then it refills with beer, and you give it out to somebody in the audience. Yeah. Really great routine.
Did you do it with apple juice? Is that what you did it with?
I did it with beer. But this new version,
secretly apple juice.
This new version that you said, talking about apple juice. The last show
we don't need to talk about that. We don't need to talk about that.
The last show that he did, he got together with a friend of his, didn't you?
Yeah.
And he decided to put something into the show that I'd never seen before. He put a running gag into his stage show. He got a bottle of whiskey, filled it with apple juice, and just had it in his case. And every few minutes during the show...
It was Gary's.
It was Gary's idea. Every few minutes he was going into the case and taking out this bottle of whiskey, which was actually apple juice, and just going, it's Thursday work doing this show. It's just, I can't believe you did that, you little sausage. Gary and you are just a nightmare together. But, what was I saying? Yes, I've completely lost the plot. So, Henry Harrius has bought out a version of the Vanishing Bottle, but it's made out of a Coke bottle. which is much better for you because you don't carry beer bottles around with you. You carry whiskey around with you, but not beer bottles. And if you're doing a kids show, it's frowned upon to go into a kids show with a bottle of beer, but using a bottle of Coke, it's much better. So
Maybe we should create one using apple juice.
Maybe we should.
Go to Greg's and buy like 5 different bottles of apple juice.
Let's have a look at a performance of Ryland doing this. This is a quick performance of Ryland showing you how authentic this bottle is. So this is literally just the same thing as refill, but with Coke. You can use it as a vanishing bottle if you want to. It's a mega surprise. You
And
can,
a prime. I'm making a prime. No, I have to make a prime.
You can use this as a just a vanishing bottle, or you can use it to do the refill routine. It comes with a bottle opener. It comes with a way of actually having a nice subtlety that when you put the bottle in there, they can hear the bottle inside the bag. There's a load of different stuff. My friend and your friend, Thomas Maloney, who you should follow on social media. He's amazing. Thomas Maloney saw this at Blackpool, bought it immediately, and it's been in every single show that he's done since then, cabaret show and kids show, and he has sworn by it. And I don't think anybody has put this prop through its paces more than Thomas. And speaking to Thomas, he said that it's brilliant. I agree, I think it's brilliant. I've been doing Vanishing Bottle as an opener in my show for years. I've also done refilled in my show since I got it about a year and a half ago from Henry. You've always wanted to do the Vanishing Bottle, and for the first time you can. How excited are you about this? What do you think of the quality of the bottle?
Very good. Very, very good. And I think that quality is pretty good as well.
The quality is great, isn't it? It looks just like a real bottle.
It does.
Are you going to do this?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, you're going to put it in your show?
Yeah.
Like your old man?
Yeah. You're very old.
I'm not very old. I'm not very old.
No, you're not very old.
I'm just old.
No, you're just very, very old.
Oh, boy. Right, what are you giving it?
Me, I'm going to give it 100%.
100%. I would agree, 100%. If you're looking for a vanishing bottle that you want to use in your show that's a Coke bottle and not a beer bottle, this is the one to go for. 100% from me, 100% from Ryland. It's amazing. Let's wrap this up.
There's no review show in the bag. There's no review show in the bag. There's no review show in the bag.
Oh! That is another review. Enough.
That was a big slap.
Enough. That is another review show in the bag. Thank you. Please stop.
It's a target practice.
That is another review show in the bag. Thank you once again for joining us right here on Magic TV. We'll be back again next week, potentially not with Ryland, because he's a sausage. But I'll definitely be back. Now, don't forget, if you do want to follow Ryland, please do so by going onto social media. You can follow him on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube by going to Ryland the Kid Magician. You can follow me on all the various different social media platforms, but really it's just YouTube I go on. And also, don't forget, if you want to join the Netrix, it's www.thenetrix.com.
Duck cookies. Duck cookies. Duck cookies.
It's .com. It's .com.
Duck cookies.
Duck cookies won't get you anywhere.
Duck cookies. Duck cookies. Duck cookies.
We'll be back again next week. Thank you very much for joining me. I'm Craig.
Cookies. Duck cookies.
I'm Craig.
I'm Ryland.
We'll
Duck
see-
cookies. Duck cookies.
We'll see you again next week. Thanks very much for watching. Will you shut up?
Cookies.
Will you shut up?
Cookies.
Just
Duck.
shut up. Grief. We'll be... We'll be back next week. Thanks a lot. Bye, everyone.